Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Yay.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Hey, Peter. So we are on episode number 325.
That's a nice even number.
Yeah, I like it. The title of today's episode is The Creative Real Estate Rookies. I'll give that to you again. 4 creative real estate rookies who want to learn profitable deal structuring easily. Should have been by example. That's what I should have written.
Oh, you can add that in now verbally. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
There you go.
By examples. Good idea, examples. We all like examples, like show me how.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the description. Is it possible that a rookie can survive in today's turbulent, creative real estate world using old but very common methods of structuring lease options, subject tos, and owner financing deals that sellers love? Of course, to succeed in these transactions, you must be creative, which is why today I thought we should talk about some of our recent deals so our listeners can hear how simple it could be when acquiring properties in these uncomplicated but imaginative ways. While our listeners hear these deal structures today, they will hopefully start to realize how they can easily purchase properties using less of their own money and allows each rookie to secure more deals. By listening to us today, I expect you add a few tools in your creative real estate tool belt. And why? A flexible seller often prefers these type of transactions than a plain old cash offer. Real estate has gone mainstream. I skipped a line there. Since COVID, creative real estate has gone mainstream. And more sellers understand us and like our offers. So get comfortable and listen to our stories and learn from them. Okay, so first of all, do our housekeeping here. So we record this podcast, we live stream it and record it on Thursday mornings at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can go to Facebook or YouTube, and you can find us there just by typing in Flipping Houses for Rookies and then clicking on the video section. We are there live every Thursday morning for the most part. There are a couple times a year where we aren't, but you'll figure that out when you get there. It's usually the holidays.
Yeah, maybe you can't tell, though.
Yeah, exactly. Also, in the description of wherever you're watching us or listening to us, there is a link there. And every week I put a link in the description that actually helps you or gives you tools for whatever we're talking about in the podcast. Okay? A lot of them are free. Some of them aren't because we can't, they're too big of a tool, but 98% or 97% of the time they're free. So you should go check that out, which a lot of people do because we keep track of the links. So it's helpful because a lot of people go there. Also, if you could subscribe to us or like us, or give us a review wherever you're watching or listening to us. That's our report card. That's how we've gotten to 325 episodes, right, Peter?
That's it.
We've made a lot of changes over the years. Boy, those first couple podcasts we listened to were really horrible.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is we started on actual radio, right? Remember? Local radio. And then your daughter goes, why don't you do a podcast? And the answer was, what's a podcast? That's how long ago it was.
Two old guys were looking at
what's a podcast?
What the hell is that?
Yeah, well, these things weren't around.
We used to do this at my house, and I had a fairly, at the time, a 4 or 5 year old Mac computer, and we just opened it up and we just recorded at a table. No scripts, no agenda, nothing. We just talked. We just blah, 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 right?
Yeah, and our voices are very crackly in those days.
Yeah, and we had a lot of complaints about that. So we kind of fixed all that, and we've gotten better and better and better. Here we are. And now we've got a couple million downloads, and we've managed to get through all that, right? Okay. So I thought I should kick off today in Total Bill style. That's my latest opener.
Oh, you can't help it.
Okay? Yeah. Let's define creative.
Oh, I like that.
So we're all on the same page about creative real estate. Okay, but before I do that, we'll need to go back to the root word create.
Yeah. You know, I'm listening because I don't know if I've ever looked that up, and I'm a musician, artist, and that's what I do, create. So I'm all ears right now. What'd you get?
Okay. So create, which means in our context, to produce through imaginative skill. Like creating a painting.
Yeah.
Right? So it's to produce through imaginative skill.
Wow. Imaginative skill.
Yeah.
Okay. It's true.
Right? And what do we mean when we say imaginative?
Well, I like to think of it as coming from the word image.
Okay.
So you get images. Because, you know, when you have a problem, just in life, like, what do you want for supper? Or like, hey, that's leaking over there. What do we do? Or, you know, that's broke. Or, you know, anything. You have to think of something. Because the first answer is, I don't know. Right? And the answers are not always there. You have to look for images in your mind. You got to look around, ask people. You got to find something new or something. Well, I was going to use the word creative, but we're trying to back into that. You know, something that you might have never have done, or no one's done, or you've never been through. Like, come up with something. When you write a song, it comes out of thin air. Painting, you know.
Yeah.
It can.
So you're going to like this because you just said it in a long-winded definition.
Yeah, I'm just streaming.
Imaginative.
Yeah.
New ideas. Right? So for me, creative real estate rotates around giving seller new ideas they have not known until now or understood until now.
You know, I want to think of it as new images. You know why? You've said it a number of times, and it takes many times to get it through our thick skulls. When you're talking to people, you're trying to get them to imagine or see images or envision what you're trying to do. Like, so imagine yourself being able to leave this house, move to Mexico, and have a nice life down there. Imagine you're sitting in Mexico right now. So you're making people have images.
Wait a minute. The way my week has been, I want to make sure that I got a big old fat margarita in front of me, okay?
Yeah, with the cigar. But, but you know, my point, you've been hammering that to us. Like, when you talk to people, you want them to get the images in their head. Look, you can walk away from this house. You don't have to take care of it anymore. See that lawn? You're not going to have to think about that again. And you'll be in a nice, you know, the images. So to me, images is even stronger, not to argue with the dictionary, more stronger than the ideas. Ideas can be vague. Images to me are more real, you know?
Right.
Anyways, that's my 2 cents.
So basically, when we're talking to a seller about a transaction, we're doing all the stuff you're talking about, which, yes, I have talked about that a lot, is like painting a picture for them or, you know, putting a mural on the wall so they could see it. So you keep it so simple that they get it.
Yep.
Right? It's funny because I was reading something last night and I looked up a word, right? The word is malady.
A malady, yeah. From the word mal, meaning bad.
Yeah. So malady has 2 definitions.
Okay.
So one is a physical or psychological disorder or disease. I'm not talking about that. The second definition is a condition or situation that is problematic and requires a remedy.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So a condition or situation that is problematic and requires a remedy.
Yeah, basement flooded, stove won't work.
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a malady.
Yeah.
Right. So when we find that malady, a condition or situation that is problematic and requires a remedy, we paint a picture of how that remedy could go away.
Yep.
Or not how that problem could go away, and how we have a remedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sure.
So good. All right. So for me, creative real estate rotates around giving sellers new ideas they have not known until now or understood. Too many think creative real estate equals you don't have money for cash deals. But truth is, creative real estate deals allows folks to purchase or control property using less of their own money, so it will enable them to secure more deals.
So the creative part could include money, just not necessarily yours. So you're creating money, like we talk about private lenders. That's still creative.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So, but in truth, creative real estate deals allows folks to purchase or control properties using less of their own money, so will enable them to secure more deals and not tap out or hit a ceiling of transactions.
Good.
Right?
Yep.
When we do these creative real estate deals, we specialize in tactics that is entirely feasible to never really over leverage ourselves. So I want to really emphasize this, because this is, we're going to get off this in a couple minutes and start talking about deal structuring. So please hang in there if you're listening. It's probably a little boring to you now, but the point is that creative real estate is not that you have a lack of money. See, what most people don't realize is that everybody has a job, and they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the train conductor drives a train. He doesn't collect tickets.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't clean the cars. He doesn't make sure there's food. He doesn't, he doesn't run the caboose, right?
Mm-hmm.
A policeman does not juror people. He arrests them or monitors them. He doesn't juror them, right?
Yep.
A fireman puts the fire out or rescues somebody that's in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't come back and clean up.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So my point is everybody has a job in every function. There's specific things that need to be done in every cycle of action.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
So what you'll soon realize is that the money guy just wants to be the money guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be, some of them do. Some of them are greedy, and some of them think that they whatever, but most of them just want to put their money, like a doctor or a lawyer, a professional person that's used to making $200,000 or $300,000 a year or more, and they want to just park some of their money somewhere and have their, I read a book one time about money being like little soldiers. Every dollar is like a little soldier.
Wow.
Right? And you need to have that soldier working all the time. Otherwise, he's not within your ranks. Right? So that he wants to make sure those little soldiers are working even when he's off doing his trade.
Right.
His craft.
Right.
Right? So...
otherwise, they're deserting you.
Right. So the point is that if you do it the old-fashioned way, which is not the old-fashioned way, this is the old-fashioned way, it's really the new way, the way the realtors want you to, you got to put 15 or 20% down, and then after a while, the bank is going to tell you, oh, you're over-leveraged.
Right.
Right. First of all, putting 15 or 20% down is not enough.
Not enough for what?
Right. For a leverage point, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get deals that are 40, 50% off, 60% off in your portfolio. So it balances out.
I got you. Yeah. Well, when you pay that money down, you're paying full price. So you wind up with an asset virtually with no equity. You might even owe on it because of closing costs and all that. And then if you're really smart and you rent it, you make $300.
Right.
But
just to be clear about what you just said, so it's not, you're paying 100% for the property.
Right.
You're paying $100,000. Even though you're putting down $20,000, you're still paying $100,000.
Yeah, full price.
And that's over leveraged.
Yep.
Right. Which is why the banker is the way they want. So why does the banker care about this? Because he wants to make sure he's going to get paid.
Yeah, of course, in the long run, you're not paying 100%. You're paying 200 and some percent, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, for example, leaving loans in sellers' names while we pay them, lease to own, or using seller financing are some examples that we use, right?
Yep.
And once you hear some of our examples today, you'll hopefully see each deal has to stand on its own. Right? I don't allow my portfolio to like pay for other things. And we do that by asking, what is the money now, what is the money monthly, and what is the money later in each transaction? And depending on those answers, we know how to acquire and exit our deals simply and profitably.
Yep.
Okay. So, for example, deal number 1, I just closed on like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago now. I bought a property. I'm in Connecticut. I bought a property in Cleveland, Ohio. Actually, I bought a few.
Yep.
So the deal starts off this way, and I'm just going to rattle through. Now, realize that I'm good with all the numbers. I'm not bragging, but if I go too fast or you need to slow me down, just tell me because, I go. That's all I deal with is numbers sometimes.
Yeah, I'll be the audience. What?
Okay, good.
What?
So I paid $36,000.
$36,000 down?
No, $36,000.
Wow.
Technically, it's worth 80, but I'm going to say it's worth 70. Technically, it's 80 if I did a little bit of work, right? So right off the bat, that's what I'm talking about. Is what I was just talking about. I'm not over leveraged because I've got $34,000 in equity.
Yeah.
Right. Repairs are less than $1,000.
No.
It's vacant. It needs to be cleaned. I mean, it's not like the prettiest house in the world, but for that area, it's fine.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I've told this story in the past. I remember a couple times being with my wife and going to look at a house, and she rants and raves and tells me the only thing she knows about real estate is to buy the ugliest house in the prettiest neighborhood.
Yep.
So when the neighborhood's not pretty, she's not pretty. She's like, why do you want to buy a house in this neighborhood? Right? Because the neighborhood's not pretty.
Yep.
So I would be like, okay. So finally one day I said to her, okay, let's drive around the neighborhood. And I forgot what I told her. It was something stupid. Like, I'll give you $10 or $100 or I'll buy you dinner. It was something like that. I said to her, for every house that you find that's vacant. And I didn't have to pay. And the point was that the neighborhood was the neighborhood. There were no boarded up vacant houses. So whoever owns that real estate is getting either tenants or they sold their property.
Yeah.
Right. So as long as you buy and sell within that neighborhood, in other words, its parameters, then you won't have a problem. So that's this house, right? So I don't have to like it. It fits the neighborhood just fine.
Right. There's another important point that we learned a few years ago. We were working on multifamilies, and it turns out that the slightly not so nice house in the not greatest neighborhood makes more money. Right. Because of that fact.
Well, wait do you hear this deal? So how much money? Well, I'm not going to do that. How much money do you think? How much money do you think you can make on $36,000?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So watch this. She decided to do, with a little help from me, seller financing. Okay. So I was trying to go for a 10-year mortgage. So, by the way, all I do is I practice what I preach. I asked her what her price was. She gave me the $36,000. I did not negotiate it at all.
Wow.
That's how much she had. That's how much she asked.
Bill, why so little? I mean, why is she asking so little for a house that's worth more?
She was in another state, and I think that's what she paid for it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't ask. Why should I ask that question? I don't.
No, I just thought it might come up in conversation. Just curious, because people, well, how come she sold it for that much? But if she lives out of state, if that's what she paid for it, she got some rent. She's doing okay. She's getting money. Right. She made money. She's making more.
And it's vacant. And she doesn't know what to do about it.
It's a problem, so it's worth it to her. Okay, good, close enough.
So I paid $36,000. right? It's worth 70, so I got 34,000 in equity. So I did the number one. Remember the 4 rules: price, payment, duration, and deposit if she talks about it.
Right.
So now I got the price, 36,000. I don't need to worry about that. That's a good price. I'm 50 cents on a dollar. What do I care?
Yep.
Right? And it only needs $1,000 worth of work. Even if she's wrong and it needs $5,000 worth of work, who cares?
Still ahead.
Right? So I go after payment now. But I'll have you know that the payment is backwards on this deal. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the payment based on the duration.
Based on what you owe over the 10 years?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get, so what I'm doing is I'm offering her the most magical thing in the world. I'm offering her to give her her price and no closing costs. So I'm saving her thousands in closing costs.
Yep.
Right? No loan approval, no nothing. We close when she's ready.
Yep.
Okay? So what I'm trying to do is, so I'm getting principal-only payments. That means no interest.
So she didn't have a mortgage at this point.
No, they're free. This is
Free and clear.
I actually bought 2 of them from her.
Got it.
Right. So when I get done with this deal, anyways, I'll get to that in a minute. So what happened was, I said I wanted 10 years. So we went back and forth. She wanted 5 years, and da 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 da. So we negotiated the term first.
Yep.
Which happens sometimes.
Yeah, I've run into that sometimes. I'm thinking, can we do that first? Does it help? So sometimes you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wasn't in order, so I got the price, and then I'm talking about, will you do owner financing? She said yes. And then right away, she's like, how much is the payment? I'm like, well, before we could pick a payment, I need to know how long can I pay for.
Yeah.
Right? So in this particular case, I landed on 7 years after a 5-minute conversation. She was happy with, she's like, 7 years, I'll do that. So 7 years is 84 months.
Yep.
Now, it's very easy. I do this with her on the phone. I take $36,000 and I divide it by 84. Because there's 84 payments.
4th grade math.
That's right. The payment was $428.57.
Right.
$428.57. All right. So the taxes, which I have in front of me because I have Zillow up, right?
Yeah.
The taxes are $584 per year. That's what made this deal.
I still can't get over that. A year.
That's why we're in Ohio, right? Taxes are $584 a year, which, by the way, that's one of the reasons why the house is only $36,000. Because the taxes are low. Actually, no, I'm saying that backwards. No, that's not true. So the taxes are $584 a year. $49 a month.
Yeah, jeez.
Right? And the insurance is about $60 a month. So the total payment is I'm sorry. Insurance is $750 a month, and it's $60. I'm going to say this again. I'm all confused here. Let me start over.
Yeah.
Taxes are $584 a year, $49 a month.
Yep.
Insurance is $750 per year and $60 per month.
Got it.
Total payment is $537 a month.
It's ridiculous.
So I'm going to sell for $80,000 on lease and a rent to own, right? With about $4,000 down, and I hope that it's even less than that. I hope it's $3,000 down, because then I could get. I went over this with a coaching client on Monday night. He's like, he's got a $220,000 house that he's selling, and I was all about, because he's trying to get $10,000 down, and I'm like, why not take a little less money? What do you mean? When we got done structuring the deal, we figured out how he could actually get an extra $10,000 by taking less of a down payment. And that was because we offered down payment assistance. If they don't have enough money, you tell them, well, then you have to get on the down payment assistance program, and you have to pay me $200 or $300 or $400 above your rents to get the down payment money up to where you got to be when you close on the deal, when you get your mortgage. Right?
Yeah, and if they pay that now, that's less that they have to pay later that to borrow, and that saves them a lot of money on the loan over time. So if they can, it's good for them too.
So a lot of people ask me, does the rent go towards the purchase of the house? No, the rent does not go. The lease has nothing to do with the purchase of the house. What happens is when we sell on a rent to own or a lease option, right, which is really what it is, a lease with an option. Say we give them 2 years to lease with an option in between. So what it does is we're like an intermediate mortgage. And we're allowing them to use the house while they go get approved for their mortgage. So that lease payment is just for the use of the house.
Yep.
It has no principal reduction. It has no add-ons. It's just the lease for the house. Right? So when we do a down payment assistance program, let's say that the rent, like in this case, I didn't get that far, but so I'm going to sell for $80,000 and $4,000 down. And I'm going to get $1,050 a month for rent. Now, if somebody wanted to do down payment assistance, they could pay, say, $150 on top of that.
Yep.
Right? So they would pay, right? Let me get a calculator. So they would pay $1,200 a month, right? But that $150 times 24 months would give them another $3,600.
Yeah.
So now they would have $7,600. So they have $7,600, right? Divided by, we'll say 80,000. So now they have 9.5% down, almost 10% down.
Right. The original 4,000 plus the $150 a month, 7,600 down. So the bank will like that. Make it easier for them to get
the. That's what I'm saying. It'll help them get a loan. So they're paying $1,200 a month. But here's the thing. The $1,200 is cash flow for us because that $150 a month is our profit. And what most people don't realize is a vast majority of our lease options don't actually close. They either go for years and years. We set them and forget them. Like I've got one now. The guy's been in the house for 15 or 16 years. Right? We're having trouble getting him out because we never went up on his rent or anything like that.
Oh.
Right? So there you go. Right? So that money, if he does purchase, the only time he gets that $150 a month back for down payment assistance is at the closing. Because that $150 a month goes towards his non-refundable option consideration deposit.
And you word that very carefully, I'm sure.
Just the way I said it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way the law reads. I didn't do it. The law does it. I'm just following the law. So it's an option consideration deposit. An option consideration deposit means you have the right to buy that property. What I tell my buyers is you have an exclusive right. You only have the only right. Nobody else can buy that property.
Yeah.
Once I give you the option, and give you a lease with an option, I'm not going to sell it out from underneath you.
Yep.
It gives you the right. So all your money is secure, and you get to live there, and you can tell all your friends and your family you bought a house.
Right. They understand that if they don't buy the house, they don't get that extra money either.
Right. They don't get their $4,000, and they don't get the $150 a month.
Yeah, the $4,000, that should be obvious, but that $150, yeah, I'll take it. So the $150, you got profit because you did the down payment assistance. What was the numbers like? What are you getting for total cash flow? There's $150 plus a little more, right?
Okay, so I don't have the $150 in here. That's just a bonus in our conversation.
Yeah.
So our payments with taxes and insurance to our seller are $537.57.
Right, and you're renting for $1,050.
Yeah. So here it is. Ready? So money now is $4,000.
Yep.
Money monthly is $512.43 in cash flow.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, $512.43 in cash flow. Right. Plus, so here's the trouble I have with my coaching clients.
Yeah.
So what is my profit on that? What is my profit? My money monthly. How much am I making monthly?
Well, it sounds like you're making $512, but wait a minute. Back up, ladies and gentlemen. This is a free and clear house.
Yeah.
So when you pay the $428, not the taxes and insurance, that's just expenses, but the $428 you give her every month, that's principal reduction. you're also earning that towards the future sale of the house because that's your equity that's increasing in the house. So you're getting the full amount that you're getting the full amount of rent, just minus those few expenses, taxes, insurance.
So that's $941 a month.
Yeah, some now, some later. Money now, money in the bank. Not a bad thing.
So I bought a house for $36,000 and I'm making $941 a month.
Times.
So I'm getting. Let me just get that. Back up and get that straight. People said so. We're making $512.43 cash flow.
Yep.
Then we're making the payment every time we pay her $428.57. That $428.57 turns into equity.
Yep.
Because we are reducing what we owe her.
Right. Now you compare that to getting a bank loan for $100,000 and your first payment, maybe it's $900, but how much of that is principal? 100, maybe 2.
Right.
It's all friggin' interest.
Maybe 50.
Yeah, in the very beginning, it's bad. So, I mean, I bought a condo and sold it that way, $400 a month rent. Every month, $400 equity. 4 years later, I had so much equity, I don't know, and I sold it, I made $40,000. So, because that principal reduction on no
you
interest.
made $40,000 on a $70,000 condo.
Yeah.
And you didn't pay $30,000 for it.
No, I paid $50. It was worth maybe $60 because it needed some work. And sold it a few years later for $75 at a discount to a personal friend. I could have jacked it up on some strangers. My buddy, close friend of mine, needed a place to live. Here, take it for $75. He was thrilled, and I put $40 large in my pocket and went to Florida for the summer.
Right. Right.
So principal reduction on a free and clear house is, they're not on every street corner, but boy, you get those. Those are lovely.
So money now is $4,000. Money monthly cash flow is $512. Right? And money later is $36,619.
Now, does that? Oh, no. Yeah, that's just the equity. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Did you count the principal reduction in there somewhere? You said $512 cash flow.
No, I didn't count that.
You didn't count that yet. Yeah. That's even more.
So here's what happens, and this is where most people that talk about this, that are trying to dazzle you, don't talk about. This is real right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into the real shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. You got $4,000 down, right? Not really. I mean, you got $4,000 down, but it's not money now.
Why not?
It's only $619 now.
Okay, why?
So first of all, you're sold for $80,000, right? And so that's good. But my closing costs to buy this property, because I paid all the closing costs, remember, were $2,381.
Right.
Now the first question you got to ask yourself is it worth $2,381 to you to get this deal?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So then we got the $1,000 for repairs.
Okay.
Right, and then we take all that away from the $4,000, and we end up with $619.
Right. So you're talking net, and that makes sense. But here's the terrible news: you got all that done, and it kind of paid itself.
Yeah.
And you have money left over. That's a beautiful thing.
Right. Now watch this: the $512 per month times 84 months is $43,000.
Oh, yeah.
And then you still have $36,000 later, right? So, so that equals $79,619. So the total deal is $79,619 for a $3,318 investment.
Yep.
Right? So you had $619 now because you paid the closing cost. You got $512 times your. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not even doing real math here. because this is just cash flow, because too many of my listeners want to hear about cash flow, which is so stupid, because it's almost like they put these blindfolders on because they're so desperate for cash. They don't even see the real money because they work for cash. They're worried about paying their bills or having money to buy a motorcycle or put a kid through college or something like that. They don't see the real money.
Yeah.
So now I can't put numbers to this, and I'm not going to, but I'm just going to talk about it for a minute, okay?
Sure.
So we made $619 now, $43,000 in cash flow, right?
Yep.
And then I said $36,000 in equity, which is a total of $79,000.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. At the end of the 7 years, we own the house that's worth $80,000. So really, it's $100,000. You put $36,000 that we paid for it on top of it, because we didn't pay that $36,000. Our tenant did.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take $36,000 plus the $79,619, right? That's $115,619. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now wait a minute. We're still not done. We're still not done at all, because we owned this house for 7 years, so we had a depreciation, a 27.5-year depreciation on our taxes, which is 3.64%.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to depreciate the taxes.
Yep.
Right? And oh yeah, by the way, for those of you that are talking about, well, I can't use all those numbers because what about the repairs and maintenance? No, I assign those to my buyer. My buyer, when I sell to my buyer on a lease with an option to buy, I tell them I'm the intermediate mortgage.
Yep.
So it's very simple. Well, I'll do it with you right now, Peter.
Go ahead.
So you have a mortgage on your house, right?
Yeah.
The toilet breaks. Do you call the mortgage company and say, come fix it?
No.
If it snows out and there's 2 feet of snow, do you call them up and say, can you come shovel my sidewalk?
No.
Okay. If the house burns down, do you call them?
Call the insurance.
Yeah. Why?
Because they're just the bank?
They're just the money. So this is the position that we are in with our buyers. We are just the bank.
Yep.
And they are very, if you use my documents, which is the difference between just going on the internet and getting a lease with an option, right? Because you could get those, but I promise you, you're not going to be as comfortable in court as you are with the documents.
Protected.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good to look at things from both sides. We're talking about our advantage and our advantages, but look at it from the buyer's point. They think they bought the house. Right. They tell, honey, we're buying a house. How? We're renting it, then we're paying for it later, but this is our house. They told their friends, look, we got a house. They're thinking, this is our house. So they take care of it.
Right.
Well,
let me ask you this question. If you were to go on vacation and you were to fly somewhere and you rented a car, would you change the oil in that car?
No, you don't do anything like that.
Okay, so if it had a flat tire, would you go to the tire store and buy a new tire?
Nope.
Okay, so if it broke down, would you fix for the repairs?
Nope, you call up, say, hey, your car broke.
Right? This is exactly what it is like when you're renting.
Yeah.
If I owned the car and the tire went flat, would I pay for the tire?
Yeah.
Okay, if I owned the car and it broke down, do I pay for the repairs?
Well, you have to. But it's an even more intermediate example. If you lease a car, like my son leased a car, and you take care of it, because if you scratch it and you screw it up, they charge you when you turn it back in. Now, the thing is, cars are so expensive now, for the first time in his life, he kept the car because it's far cheaper to keep it than get another one. So he's been taking care of it, thinking, I might keep this, and he did. So that's an example like lease option. It's like lease option on a car, and he kept it. Lease option on a house. They may or may not keep it.
My wife did that with a Mazda that she bought against my consent, right? Which is the last time she ever did anything like that. But she did exactly like that. She fully intended when the lease came up, she was just going to refinance. It was like, I think she paid $36,000 or $38,000 for the Mazda.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had it figured out so that at the end there was $18,000 left, and she was just going to take a loan and just buy it. But I didn't like the car. We didn't do that.
Yep.
So, but it's exactly. And my point is that when we traded it in, we didn't get $18,000 for it. We got something like $23,000 for it because she had taken such good care of it. And my wife, literally, you know my wife, Peter. I mean, if she drives 2,000 or 2,500 miles a year, that's a lot. I mean, the only reason why her car gets miles on it is because we take it back and forth to Florida. Like right now, she's in Florida. So I'll put 3,000 miles on that car, 1,400 miles down. She'll drive it when she's down there, 1,400 miles back.
Yep.
Right. Other than that, the car doesn't get miles on it, right?
Right. And your point, when people are in the house on this system, they take care of the house because it's their house. Mow the lawn, fix the things, they do that.
Right.
So you don't have the maintenance and the upkeep.
Right. So it's a pretty nice deal, right?
And all the landlord hassles.
Right.
Yep.
So how do I know this is a nice deal? How would I know this is a nice deal? You don't have an answer for this, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. How do I know this is a nice deal?
I don't know, Bill. How do you know this is a nice deal? I mean, it sounds pretty good just explaining the numbers.
When I get all done with the deal with her and I settled on all these numbers and when we decided what we're going to do, her response was, I have another house around the corner. You want to do the same thing with it too? Now, I don't have the numbers, but I'll give you briefly. What I did the same exact thing, except it was a $75,000 house that was it was only worth $73,000, right?
Yeah.
But I paid $75,000. Now that house needs probably $3,000 or $4,000 worth of work. It's got a property manager. It's a 2-family house, but has 8 bedrooms, and she rents the rooms out for $400 or $500 a room.
So it's like a rooming house.
No, no, because a rooming house is weekly. This is monthly.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I don't know the term.
But yes, it is like a rooming house design wise because they live in a room and there's common areas.
Right.
Right. So the point is that the house makes, right? I mean, so if you get $500, that's $4,000 a month.
That's
right?
crazy.
Per room.
That's crazy.
Now you probably got a couple $1,000s in expenses by the time you pay the electric and the heat and cable and all that kind of stuff, right? So how could you take a $75,000 house and turn it into $2,000 a month positive cash flow? Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, I did exactly the same thing. I took $75,000, I think it was $892 as a payment. I took $75,000 and I divided it by 84 months and it came out to be I did it wrong. 75,000 divided by 84 months. Yeah, it's $892.85 a month. So for like $1,000 a month, I'm paying my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, and I have the same exact. I didn't do all the numbers that I'm going to do a different deal. Talk about a different deal, but the point is that it's the same thing. With the principal reduction, I'm not going to have money now. That's the only thing. So that house cost me $2,600 to buy, but I'm not going to have the money now because I'm not going to sell the house. I'm not going to sell it on a rent to own. I'm going to have the property manager in place, and I'm going to make, even if I make $1,500 a month off of my $4,000, what do I care? I mean, I need $1,000 a month to break even. So if it's got 3 rooms rented right now, or 4 rooms rented right now, even if I just leave things the way they are, I'm still good.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about with leverage. My payments are so low, and I have so much equity in the house. In this house, I don't have equity here, and that's what my point is that I paid full asking price. I have no equity, but I have such massive cash flow that it doesn't matter that I don't have equity.
Yeah, but next month you will. In this sense, in a couple months, you're making $892 principal reduction. And that's equity increase. So every month you're catching up almost $900 every month.
Right, which is why I always say you can pay up to 10 or 15% more for a house if you get owner financing because especially if you have cash flow.
Yeah, the free and clear.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter if it's free and clear. If you're getting cash flow, and you don't have to do you don't have to do principal. Let me think about this for a second. You don't have to do principal only payments just on free and clear houses.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, you might have somebody that owes $100,000 on a property and they're selling it for $400,000. You got $300,000 worth of equity.
Mm-hmm.
You could do principal only payments on a house like that because they have so much equity that it will gobble up the interest.
Okay.
It's a little bit more complicated, but you could do it.
Yeah. Normally we don't talk about that, but okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is why I make the comment, I'll pay any price for a house as long as I get to pick the terms.
Yep.
And the reason why is because of the money monthly, the money now, the money monthly, and the money later.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the magic. I mean, if you want to know how to do deal structuring, just back into all those numbers. I mean, like we have a calculator, and the calculator justifies money now, money monthly, money later.
Yep.
It backs into all of that. Right?
Yep.
All right, so let's do another one where I pay too much.
Okay.
Okay, so this house was worth $180,000.
Yep.
This house is in Connecticut, and it needs $15,000 in repairs.
Okay.
Okay. So how much is a house?
Well, you're paying $195 if you put those together. Is that what you mean?
No, it's worth $180,
It's worth $180.
and it needs $15,000 worth of repairs. So how much is it worth?
Oh, what's it worth? I don't know.
Okay, so if you take 180 minus 15,000, how much is that?
$165.
Okay, good. So that's what it's worth, right? Because it needs $15,000.
You know,
worth of repairs.
I'm thinking if you're selling it, but okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's worth 165,
Mm-hmm.
and 15,000 was conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, it needed more than 15,000, but 15,000 would have cosmetically kept.
Yeah.
It.
180 was their normal asking price.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
No.
that wasn't true.
Oh.
No. So there's a confusion there. So it's worth 180. What does that mean?
Well, if you're saying it's worth 180, that's what market should be, right?
That's the comps.
Good. Yeah.
The comparables say its value you should be able to sell for 180.
Okay. But then
But then you have $15,000 worth of repairs. So if somebody comes in and looks at that house, they're going to negotiate the 15,000. They're going to turn the 15 into 30 and give you a lower number because they're like, I got to do all this work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to buy a mobile home for my mother and father down in Florida, and the guy was asking $80,000 for this specific thing on a lake and all this stuff, right? God knows why they want to do this, but anyways, it doesn't matter. And to my point, he dropped the price down. The realtor said he'll take 30 or 35,000. So that means he'll take 30.
Mm-hmm.
So they go and look at it, and they're like, it's down in Fort Myers, so the wind damage. So it's like, you know, the carport's missing, you know, because the wind took it away, and there's a leak in the roof. And when he did the kitchen floor, he did it incorrect. So I just called the realtor and said to her, I'll give you 20 grand because it needs a lot of work. She says, yeah, it does need a lot of work. But see what I mean? It's like, I'll give you 20 grand, which, by the way, he didn't do. But because he's coming, 20 grand is a long way from 80 grand.
Yeah. Didn't he already drop it from 80 to 30 because of all those problems?
Evidently, but I decided to be Bill, so there you go.
He went for it.
Yeah. I don't think, my mother and father are 80 and 83 years old. They don't need to be living in a mobile home.
No.
But they don't think that. So, all right, so let's go back to our house. So the house is worth 180, needs 15,000 repairs. Technically, it's worth 165.
Mm-hmm.
I paid 191.
What? You paid too much.
But like I said, I always say I'll pay your price if you pick the terms. Now, why would I pay 191?
Well, let's see how you structured it.
I paid 191 because that's what they owed the bank.
Wow.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're moving to Florida.
Okay.
They sold their business and they're moving to Florida. Actually, I think you know this deal because this happened a little while ago, right? This is not a
No, this
deal,
does.
so.
I don't know. I don't know if I've heard this one. Doesn't sound too familiar. Go ahead.
So what happened? So anyways, the bottom line is he was bragging to me about how he had this house and how much money he was making off of it. And then at Christmas time, in December, he didn't get the payment. And all of a sudden, he realizes they left in the middle of the night. Had been there 3 or 4 years, or 4 or 5 years, and he left in the middle of the night.
So this house you're talking about, the owners are renting it?
They were.
Got it. Yeah, right. I thought you meant they're moving to Florida, moving out of the house, but they're leaving the house behind and moving to Florida.
They sold their business, and he was going to keep the house and keep collecting this money, right?
Yeah, until they don't pay, then oops.
And then Christmas comes, and now all of a sudden in December, he's got to come up with a monthly payment that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
Okay, or doesn't want to pay, one or the other, right?
No,
so
shouldn't have to.
In this case, the mortgage payment was $998 PITI, which principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Mm-hmm. So it's what we call loaded up.
Yeah.
Right. So the payment's all loaded up. You make the payment and you're done. You don't need to do anything else other than maintenance and repairs and stuff, right?
Yep.
So I bought the house subject to. I took over the mortgage payments. He deeded me the house, and the house is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I sold the house for $225,000. I'm sorry, $220,000.
Yep.
Right? Did I do the repairs?
You won't. No, you don't like that stuff. No.
So in that particular house, there was a garbage disposal and there was a problem with the furnace. I think I spent $1,000.
Okay.
Okay, because I just, you know me. It's like, I'll sell you a house that has an ugly kitchen. But if the water doesn't run, I'm not selling. I got to fix the water.
Yeah, it should.
I
should
fix
work.
the essentials.
It has to work.
I fix the essentials.
Yeah.
So the furnace has to work, and anyway.
Well, I think the logical thing, whether you're thinking this out loud to yourself, is the people should be able to move in.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can't move in, how are you going to charge them money to pay for it if they can't move in? So.
Which, by the way, is the reason why I sold it for $220,000.
What?
If I didn't have to do the work, if it didn't need work, I probably would have got $229,900.
I got you. But why? How do you? In case anybody doesn't know, because the first time you said that at one of your first lectures that I went to, I went, "You can't sell it for more than it's worth. People aren't crazy." So
first of all, you have to realize that there's two things you need to realize. So first of all, if you bought my computer today for $1,000, which is a bargain because I paid $4,000 for it, or $3,000, or whatever the number is. But if you paid me $1,000 today for my computer and you gave me cash, you actually paid $1,000 for my computer.
Yeah.
If you paid me $1,000 today for my computer and you swiped your credit card and paid for it over the next 2 years, 24 months, you didn't pay $1,000 for my computer.
Yep.
It's like we used to do this at events, live events. It's like somebody tell me how much they paid for their house.
$180,000.
Right. So did they pay cash? They're like, no, I have a mortgage. Oh, okay. Well, let's do that. So what are your mortgage payments? PITI. Just the taxes in the payment, right? Principal and interest.
Mm-hmm.
You multiply that by 30 years or 20 years or whatever the mortgage is. That's how much you paid for the house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't pay $100,000 or $200,000. You started there.
Yeah.
And then you put interest on top of that. You actually
it's more than
paid,
double.
Right. It's usually 2.5 to 3 times what you pay over a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. So the way I look at it, it's also that the people who are buying these houses are renters who can't get a house. So for the privilege of having the opportunity to purchase this in a couple of years, they pay a little more because they are a little risky.
Which brings me to my second point, and that is that when somebody is in that position, I don't take advantage of them. Because they know that if they're making payments, they have to pay more. I mean, the American economy did that. I didn't do that, right? So 99.99% of the time, they never ask the price of the house. They always ask, how much do I need down, and how much is it a month?
Yeah.
And then if they like the house, and even then, they don't have to like the house. They're just so excited because find one of us guys. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. How do you find somebody that has one of these houses?
Yep.
Right. Now, in this particular case, I put a little unqualified person in there. They're a little unqualified. So I put them in there, and I regret doing that because every month I got to fight with her. She's always late with the rent. She never pays the fees, and always bitches because in apartments.com, she always owes thousands of dollars. And I go in there in fact, I just did it yesterday. I go in there and I wipe out the fees because otherwise, I shouldn't have put them in there. They were not technically qualified, but they had a story that they were getting new jobs and this and that, and I don't know. But in the meantime, they're paying. So I got some aggravation that I have to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. So in this particular case, I'm paying $998 a month. I'm renting for $1,750.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I paid the $191, because I'm making $750 a month. I can tell you right now, if she moves out, I will get $249.9 for this house, and I'll get probably $15,000 or $20,000 down, and I'll get $1,900 a month or $2,000 a month.
Well,
because this house is worth.
Technically, if you kept track or kept all those fees and penalties that she didn't pay, could you evict her because of that if you wanted to?
Yes.
You could, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, technically, what I could do is, if I wanted to play hardball, I wouldn't evict them. Mm-hmm. The way you're saying it. What I would do is 1 month that she's late, just tell her she's late, and I'm not going to accept her payment unless she pays the fee. And if she doesn't pay the fee, then I could just automatically go into eviction.
Yeah.
It would not be fun. But I got to tell you, I don't play that way because they'll damage the house when they leave. They'll get pissed off and they'll damage. Even the nicest people in the world, they'll do something to the house, right?
Just question, because I've been in landlord positions with you before and having to collect money here and there. Do you know if they get paid weekly or biweekly?
I don't.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I have music students. So, I get paid next Tuesday. Hold a check for a few days, because it revolves around when they get their paycheck. They don't put money aside. They don't get ahead. They don't plan very well. So I'm just curious if any of us are in that position with somebody, would it help especially if they're on apartments.com, the website that takes payments, if they just sent payments every week from their paycheck because they're just bad with managing money, or every paycheck they send the allotment? Would you think that would help at all with people like that are pretty much paycheck to paycheck anyways? And waiting a month is just like asking for trouble because they're not organized enough?
Right. So that's the reason why I write my contracts on the 25th of the month. Mm-hmm. So the mortgage payment or the rent payment is due on the 25th of the month, because after doing a lot of research, I realized that the 25th of the month is the week that the free paycheck is there.
Oh.
That's the week that most people...
They pay all the other stuff and okay, we got the...
They don't plan that paycheck. Like the first paycheck's rent and the next one's utilities and that kind of thing, right? So I do it that way, just based on what you're saying. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's keep moving. So I sold for $220, $1,750. So my money now was $8,000 down. Yep. And I wrote a $5,000 note for 12 months.
For the down payment assistance?
Yeah. So they didn't exactly do down payment assistance. Back then I wasn't doing that, right? Because this is a deal that I did a few years ago, right? And I just wanted to use it as an example of paying too much. That's why I picked this deal, right? I could have done the $75,000 one, but it's too close to the first one, so I decided. So anyways, the point is that I wrote a note for $5,000 and they gave me a lump sum.
Okay. Because you wanted $13,000 down. They only gave you $8,000, so... No.
This is funky and you need to understand this, because this is out my ass numbers. But I will tell you, it works every time. So I like to get 5% down.
Yeah. So
on a $200,000 house, that would be on a $220,000 house, so $220,000.
That's more like 12,000 or so.
Yeah. Times 5% was 11,000. Mm-hmm. So, me being who I am, I told them that. So I just make up numbers. So it's like I know I want $11,000 down. So I was probably asking $10,000, right? Because that was common for me. I would ask $10,000, right? Yeah. And they said all they can come up with was $8,000. I said, well, if you come up with $8,000, then I'm going to need another $5,000. I just picked a number. I need another $5,000. Mm-hmm. So how can you come up with that money, knowing that they aren't going to come up with that money, knowing I'm going to do down payment assistance? Yeah. Right? So that's why I say I like it when they're short on the down payment. So I pick a number in knowing that they're short, because I won't let anybody in the house for less than 3%. Mm-hmm. because I know at 3% I can go to get an FHA mortgage. It's difficult to do, but I can get an FHA mortgage with 3% down.
Yep.
Right? So I know that. So I won't take less than 3%. I shoot for 5% down.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular case, 5% was 11,000. So they're like saying, no, we don't have the 11,000. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you in for the 8,000, but we have to write a note for another $5,000. You got to put $13,000 down.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
So, which, by the way, how do I do all of that? Because the numbers are changing all the time. It's selectively speaking.
You made up a word for what you do, huh?
Selectively speaking, yeah. Because what I'll say to them is, how much do you need down? Well, what's the most you can come up with?
You know what
Most we can come up with is $8,000, and I'll be like, well, you need at least 13,000 to come in here, because I already know in my head. I don't have to explain everything like I'm explaining it to you guys. Mm-hmm. I could say, well, you need 13,000 to get in. Oh, well, can you get 13,000? And they'll be like, we can try. Okay, and then at a certain point, I'm like, well, how about if we do this? Mm-hmm. How about if you give me the 8,000, and then we work on a payment program for the other 5,000?
Well, simply put, when I see what you do, it just seems like you're just asking for a little more than you really need. Because if you ask for what you need, you won't even get that most of the time, right? So ask for a little more, ask for a little less on the payment, ask for more on the payments coming in, less payments going out. Do the best you can, and you might manage in the middle to get things to work. Right. Aim high, aim high and get somewhere.
So in this particular case, you could take the $5,000. In this case, I got $5,000 over the course of a year, so I got an extra $416 per month for that year. But technically, you would take the $5,000 and divide it across the lease term, which is 24 months, and you can get $208 a month. Mm-hmm. So instead of paying $1,750, they paid $1,950, and you could have went 2 years cash flowing. Instead of cash flowing $750, I could have cash flowed $950.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense?
Absolutely.
So, without much math there, that's head math. 2 years, $1,000 a month is $24,000 on a house that I overpaid $15,000 for.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we all have to remember is any one specific number, like you overpaid for the house, that's not the entire process. You have to look at every part of it, money now, a month later, all of that, and see if all the numbers work. You can catch everything up and make enough money. Why not? Why let one number stop you? The interest too high. Figure the rest of the numbers. Maybe there's plenty of money coming in. It's fine.
So in this house that I paid for, that's right, Peter, in this house that I paid too much for, I got $12,000 now, meaning the first 12 months, right? $750 a month times 5 years is $45,000. And then I got $17,000 later. Now, realize the $17,000 later is because I took down payment money. So you have to subtract that from your money later because you got that ahead of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a total of $74,000 without counting my principal reduction and my tax benefits.
Yeah, and the fact that the house might be worth more at that point when you actually sell it.
Which it is.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing that you don't know unless you're doing these things. So, by the way, this money is practically interest-free. I'm sorry, not
tax-free?
interest-free. I didn't mean to say tax-free.
Yeah.
Reason why is in this particular house, I looked it up, in February, because I'm paying the mortgage subject to, when the deed is in my name, they send me the mortgage statement.
Yeah.
So my seller's no longer getting benefits, I am, because he's not claiming them, I'm claiming them.
That's right.
Because I have the deed, and if the IRS wants to know anything, I'm like, well, here's the deed, I own the house.
Right, you're getting the benefit of all the interest payments that you're making.
Right. So now what happened is in February I got a statement from the bank saying I paid $6,600 in interest. So that $6,600 was removed right off the top of my income. Right. So, I mean, yeah, I collected. We'll say $750 times 12. So I collected $9,000. But I took back 66, so minus 66, minus 6,600. So I only paid taxes, income taxes, on $2,400.
Crazy.
Then I got depreciation on top of that, and I promise you the depreciation wiped out the $2,400 profit.
Accounting is a beautiful thing.
So I got this house because of the way I bought it, because of the subject to and the way I bought it and the way I structured the deal. There's more money in the back end than in the front end.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, by the way, here's the miraculous, absolutely miracle.
Yeah.
It cost me $70 to file the paperwork. My closing cost, because I did it myself, was $70.
Yeah.
$70.43 because I had to mail a letter to the bank.
Gee, next time it'll be 60 cents. Yeah, oh boy.
Right. So when I hear students that complain about not making any money, they only need that one deal, and it pays back. I mean, we're talking about $74,000 over the course of 5 years. Now, I'll probably keep this house much longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I just looked at the statement the other day, and the mortgage is way down. It's down $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't. He keeps asking me when are you going to pay it off. I'm like, I don't know, someday.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here's another little trick, and then we'll end off with this. So when are you going to pay it off? Why, is there a problem? Oh, well, yeah, I'm trying to get a mortgage for another house. Oh, okay. Well, how about if I give you paperwork and you go give it to your bank and you go get your mortgage? Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Oh, the owner is asking when you're selling it. I got you. Yeah.
So I gave him paperwork. I gave him documents to show to his lender. Which is the second or third time I've done this. This guy's a real crazy bastard, and I give him the paperwork, and then he doesn't ask for another year, 2 years. He goes away. Go get your mortgage, because here's what happens. Minimally, if I give him a lease with an option to purchase, I call that a mock lease with an option to purchase, because I could do that because I'm paying his mortgage, right?
Even though you own the house, you could just do paperwork that shows you're leasing it, and he's making the money.
Well, because the mortgage is still in his name, the bank will say, "Oh, you have an option on the house." Okay.
Yep.
So I show where I'm making the payments, the $998 a month as the lease, with an option to purchase for what he owes, right? So here's the problem that most don't realize is they think they can't get another mortgage unless they pay this mortgage off.
Mm-hmm.
No. The reason why is because they're only counting the money halfway. See, they're only counting the payments. They're not counting the payments to the bank. They're not counting the income to make those payments. So even though I'm making the payments to the bank, the $998 to the bank, that's income to him.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to offset the liability or the payments with the income.
Yeah, and it wipes clean, zero. So it's not a liability financially to the guy, really. It's a wash, so he's okay.
So he can go get a loan because it actually looks better for him because he has an asset that's performing.
Yep. With equity, in case they want to, foreclose on the guy. Yeah. They got a house behind it.
Right? So it's actually a good thing.
Cool.
All right, Peter. I hope that helped our listeners. Make sure you go subscribe to wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you like us. Leave some comments. Don't forget to go in the comment section of wherever you're watching us or listening to us, and click on the link and get your stuff. There's some good stuff there waiting for you pertaining to this podcast. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next week, Peter, which is episode number 326.
Mm-hmm.
The top 20 excuses, and it really should be the reasons because people think they're reasons, but I'm being harsh. The top 20 excuses real estate rookies use to not take action and how to fix it.
Hey, Bill, I don't think I'll be here next week, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, so make sure you tune in to episode number 326.
Nice examples today. I like them.
Yeah, good. So if you have any questions, you can go to, there's two ways you can contact us. You can go to WhatsApp Messenger, and you can type in Let's Talk Real Estate, and you can get us there. There's a group that's group messaging, and if you need personal questions answered by me, you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right hand side is a support button. click on the support button, and those messages come directly to me. Okay? So over and out. Thanks for all your support and listening. We'll talk to you on episode number 326.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.